Hey, Living Laveen. Today I'm at Laveen Smiles, right off of 51st Avenue and Baseline, right next to the Dignity Health Center. Today I'm with Dr. Mark Evans. If you have an interest in doing your own interview with Living Laveen, please PM me at uh, my Concho account. So who are you?
So I'm Dr. Mark Evans. I'm from California, from Southern California, from Santa Clarita. If anybody's around there, it's where Six Flags Magic Mountain is. And me and my family moved here to Laveen in 2017. Previous to this, we were both my wife and I were in the Army, and we were stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And prior to that, I was at dental school at University of Southern California in Los Angeles. Prior to that, I did my undergraduate at BYU, got my bachelor's in science in biology.
When did you open this practice?
So we opened in 2020. Uh, we started construction right during the COVID shutdown that happened in March. So right after March timeframe, construction was started. I had signed the lease a year or two before that in 2019, or maybe in 2018. I can't recall. But then we opened doors on August 6th of 2020, which was about 1 week after the COVID restrictions had lifted. So it was a challenging time, but we got through it. We were very blessed. There was a lot of things that worked out very fortuitously for us, and so yeah.
And so what makes Laveen Smiles different from other dentists that you've either worked at or even been to?
So Laveen Smiles was um, kind of I had worked in the Army as an Army dentist. I had worked at a pediatric practice in Texas, and I had worked at a corporate office here in Phoenix, and it was kind of a rejection of the corporate mentality and structure. There was a lot of things that were good about the corporate experience, but also some things that I didn't like. And I decided that if I was going to do a career in dentistry for 20, 25, 30 years, that I needed to be happy doing it. I needed to have the equipment that I wanted in order to do it. And I wanted to do it in a way that I saw best and really just answer to myself and not answer to anybody else. And so one thing that is my top priority is that anybody who comes to Laveen Smiles, I want them to have an exceptional experience. They should have a 5-star experience every time they come. And if they don't, then that's a failure on my part. So my top priority is exceptional customer service and exceptional quality. And then, making money is much further down the line, but kind of those two priorities influence everything that I do and why I do it the way that I do it. I wanted to create a dental practice that I personally would want to go to for my own dental care. So that has influenced every decision I've made, from when I designed the layout to the equipment that I bought to the teammates that we hire. Everything is designed around giving an exceptional experience and giving the very best that we can.
When you speak about the customer experience and the patient care and stuff like that, to you, what does a good doctor-patient relationship look like?
I think that there's one word that sums up really any relationship you have, business, interpersonal. Everything is built upon trust, and so a good doctor-patient relationship looks like that you trust me with your care. You trust that I'm going to do the very best that I can for you, and that I'm going to have your best interest in mind and not have ulterior motives or be thinking about something else influencing why I'm treatment planning or diagnosing the way that I am. And then the trust is, a two-way street. I trust that you're going to, be happy here and be satisfied with the work we do. And if there's ever an issue, that give me the opportunity to resolve whatever an issue would be.
What do you think that the average person, or maybe even like grunts in the military, could be doing to better care for their own teeth?
There's a couple of very easy things that can be done. Number one, an electric toothbrush. Studies show that an electric toothbrush is more effective at removing plaque than we can by manual brushing. So getting an electric toothbrush, I personally use a Philips Sonicare. It's what I personally recommend. I recommend getting it at Costco. That's like hands down the easiest thing that one can do to improve oral care. Second to that would be using flossing. I know there are a lot of people that don't floss, but flossing would be the second thing. There's a little bit more work involved in that. But thirdly, and a very easy thing, is getting a mouth rinse that is fluoridated and without alcohol. And if you're to do those three things every day, twice a day for the brushing and twice a day for the mouth rinse and flossing once a day, then your checkups at whatever dentist you choose to go to are going to be, it's going to say, hey, looks great. Your cleaning, very nice.
Mm.
You'll spend very little money on dentistry. So that's what I recommend.
What made you choose becoming a dentist over, say, a podiatrist or something else in the medical industry? What brought you to dentistry?
So my dad was a dentist. He was an endodontist, so I had experience and exposure to the dental field from a young age. My dad had friends and colleagues, and so I kind of saw a lot of the specialties of dentistry. My best friend's dad was a dentist, and so there was a lot of exposure to that. I really liked engineering. I thought about becoming a mechanical engineer for a long time and kind of debated between those two things. What I liked about mechanical engineering was the thought of designing custom parts to solve a problem, and then fabricating those parts to make that vision become a reality and then solve a problem. And ultimately, I decided to. So I thought it'd be cool to use CAD software and that kind of stuff. And ultimately, I decided that dentistry probably would provide a better career path, and I was more familiar with it. And so I decided to go into dentistry. And now, with the technological progress that's happened in dentistry, I use an intraoral camera to make a 3D design virtually or 3D capture somebody's mouth, and then I can fabricate crowns and bridges and custom components digitally. And then I have the equipment that I can then, I have a 5-axis mill that will CNC it, and so that I can take that virtual design and make it a reality. And so my initial desire for going into mechanical engineering, which was to fabricate custom or design custom components to solve a custom problem. That actually, I do that every day now in dentistry, because every crown that I do is unique to each individual, and so I am able to be very customized. It's not the same thing every time, even though I'm doing a similar workflow every time. It's different. So I'm very happy with how that worked out.
You get your little nerd stuff in there, yeah.
So I got a 3D printer, so I get to 3D print and do stuff. It's fun. I like the technology.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because a lot of people just do that stuff for hobbies too.
Yeah.
What would be like a hot take of yours in the dentist industry that you think that most other dentists wouldn't agree with?
I'm not sure. Give me an example.
I don't know. Are you anti-fluoride, or are you?
Well, I can tell you, fluoride is good for your teeth. Systemically, that's a hot debate right now, and I will say, I don't know if the studies can show systemically if it's bad or not. Both sides have their arguments. So what I can say is it's good for your teeth. So whether that fluoride comes because of the toothpaste or because of the mouth rinse or whatnot, I just want fluoride on the teeth. Systemically, I'll leave that debate to others.
What would you say to someone who is looking to become a dentist or get into the dentist industry?
There's a lot of challenges in dentistry. It's not for the faint of heart. You have to, it's a long road to get there. A lot of education, a lot of hard work, and then after you graduate, and when you graduate, they teach you just enough to not, like kill people. So then you got to go out and you got to learn through experience and hone your craft, and then there's different experiences out there. Working for somebody else is very different than owning your own practice. When you own your own practice, you're the CEO. You got to hire people. You got to deal with all the different things. And so not only are you the dentist, but you're the manager, and
you basically need a business
the HR.
degree.
Yeah, and so dentistry is a good career. But it's challenging, and I will never be able to work from home. So if you choose dentistry, your days of remote working, you'll never be able to have those. Does cost a lot of money to become a dentist. New grads are coming out of dental school with 500,000-600,000 in debt just for the dental school, excluding undergrad. And because of we talked a little bit this before the interview, but insurance reimbursements are challenging because insurances have not increased the amount that they pay for procedures in dentistry for probably 30 years. But the cost to provide those services in wages and materials, all that inflation, especially over the last 5 years, has gone up significantly. And so it's becoming more and more challenging to keep the lights on and get a profit and still do dentistry in the way that I think it should be done. And that's why you see the rise, or one of the reasons you see the rise of so much corporate dentistry, because they're better businessmen than dentists. I'm not a great businessman. I want to do dentistry, and I want to do it in the way that I think it should be done, and I want to have the control. But in order to have that, I have to do my own practice. And I didn't get a business degree. I basically have learned business through the School of Hard Knocks, which is open up a business and learn as you go.
Struggle through it.
And struggle through it. And it's a challenging way to go for sure, but we've been blessed, and we've made it through thus far. There were some times that I thought we were going to fail, and we didn't.
So. Yeah, we were talking before this interview started about how many dentist offices are in this area, and that you think that you're the only independent office in the area. What would you say to other dentists that might be wanting to open their own practice?
So I would say let's define what one means by an independent dentist. If we define it as the dentist works in the practice and is the sole owner of the practice, and that's what we define as an independent or a private practice is what we would probably call that, then I believe that I'm the only private practice in a 5-mile radius, maybe more. I can't say that for sure. I don't know all the practices, so if I'm wrong on that, I apologize. But
you guys don't have secret meetings that we don't know about?
No. Most of the dentists don't. Nobody talks with each other. You do your dentistry, and you try and put out any fires, and then you want to go home and be with your kids and family, and there's no time for the secret meetings. Nobody got time for that.
So what would you say to those people that were thinking about branching out and becoming and doing what you've done, basically? What would be some of the hard knocks that you would give them advice on to avoid those issues?
So the way that I chose to do it was predicated on this. We had moved to Laveen in 2017, and we just bought a house, and I had a job at a corporate, and 2 years into that, I decided, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life in the way that I'm doing it. And so I have two options. I can either buy a practice that's established somewhere where it becomes available, and we can either stay here and I'll commute to it, or we can move, or I can open a practice from scratch. Well, I hate commuting, and who knows where, we just moved here. I didn't want to move at the time. And so I said, well, why not serve the community in which we live? There's a lot of people at that time who were commuting to, um, you know, Peoria and out to Gilbert for their private practice dental experience. And this before the 202 was open. So people are driving, an hour plus to get to a private practice dentist that they wanted to go to. So I said, hey, let's serve the community here and provide that experience that, there's a certain amount of people that want that experience. Let's provide that here. And so scratch startup is very difficult. Um, it's much harder than buying a practice because you walk into a cash flowing machine.
Mm-hmm.
People
established patients,
established teammates who already know what they're doing. They've been doing that for 20 years at that place.
Mm-hmm.
Like the machine is already running. You just walk into it and it runs, and then you make some changes. With a scratch startup, like you have to reinvent the wheel on everything. So it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, we were talking about kind of this issue beforehand, and you were talking about walking into an established business and how it needs upkeep or upgrades or new equipment or something that are kind of just, especially when they're leaving, they might know that, hey, we're leaving. We're not going to try and just spend a bunch of extra money on a new X-ray machine or something like that. So there's an associated cost with buying an established business, but then starting it from scratch, you've got to buy all that stuff from scratch, and you got to buy it brand new anyways. And you really enjoyed designing your own office in here and the layout.
So there's the cons of doing a scratch startup, but there's a lot of pros to it. And the pros were that I was able to design the space exactly how I wanted it, to the way that I thought would be most efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And most productive and useful. And then also I got to buy top of the line, brand new equipment, best technology. And so everything that I have is brand new, top of the line, the very best. And not all, in fact, most offices can't do that, because even if you go into a space and, like, let's say a business closed down and you're like, oh, I want to turn that space into a dental practice. Well, you got to go in and it's already built. You got to rip out walls, and you got to be like, okay, we're going to make this room the X-ray room. We're going to make this room. But it wasn't designed for that originally. So by doing it from scratch, I was able to design everything with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. So I started with the end in mind. I had a vision of what I wanted to create. What I wanted to create was a dental practice that I personally would want to go to if I was a patient, knowing all that I know about dentistry. And so with that vision, I was able to take conceptually my vision, and then over time turn that into a reality. And so that has been super rewarding, to watch something that several years ago was just an idea in my head that came to me. And then now here we are, 4 years after being open, probably 6 years after having that initial idea, to now we have something that is providing a good value and service to the community and to our patients that come here.
Yeah. Do you have any last words or anything that you want to say to the Living community?
What I provide and what is important to me is that customer service and quality is the most important things to me, and having the trust of my patients is extremely important to me. So if you're looking for a dental office that you feel that you can establish a good trust with provider and dentist, and if those things are valuable to you, then check us out. We'd be more than happy to serve you and take care of you and your family, and do the very best we can for you.
Laveen Smiles is located at 7205 South 51st Avenue. That's right next to the Dignity Health Hospital here. And their office number is 602-603-5446. Thanks, Laveen.